Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kian and let's just get right into it. We are moving. Depending how much you have been keeping up with me on my other social media platforms, this either may be a complete shock to you guys and brand new news, or you would have had part of the explanation already if you've been following my decluttering series on like TikTok and Instagram. But anyways, I think I just need to start from the beginning because it's kind of like a long story, and then I'll go ahead and answer some of your questions. So I want to say like 4 months ago, Kyle called me from a men's retreat he was working at, and he said, "Babe, I think I just got offered a job in New York City." And I was like, "Well, what are the details?" And he's like, I don't have any details." And I was like, "Well, go get some details and call me back." And I think he was just shocked that I was even open to the idea of moving to New York City, because if you have been following along, you know I love my slow-paced life. I love living near the ocean. I love it here in Maui. And yeah, anytime someone would ask if we would think about moving back to the mainland, we always were like, not unless God calls us there, because we just love it here so much. So the fact that my heart was even open to moving to like the biggest and scariest city was a miracle in itself. So we got some more details, and basically the ball just kind of started getting rolling with this position, and me and Kyle both felt, sorry if you can hear the birds, hopefully it's enchanting. We both felt peace about it. We felt like God was opening our hearts towards moving, and we started getting excited about it. We started grieving, like leaving here and leaving our friends. We were also watching a ton of YouTube videos on like apartment hunting there and like the neighborhoods in New York, because honestly, I've been there a few times just for fun, but I have never had any like real interest in living there, so I really don't know much about it. So we were trying to educate ourselves. We just started praying about it a lot over the next couple months. We were going to the East Coast during Thanksgiving time to visit Kyle's family, so we decided to just take a train to New York City so we could go to the church and meet people, and Kyle could have some interviews. So that is what we did. And honestly, it was quite a stressful trip. Let me tell you, I did not know how to function as a mother in a city like that. Like, it was very, very stressful and kind of a rude awakening to like how much work I needed to do in myself in order to carry the amount of peace that I would need to thrive in a place like this. I think being a mother in Hawaii is honestly feels so effortless and easy because of the pace of life, because of the culture, community, the access to the outdoors, the weather. And so to abruptly be put into New York City during the busiest time, Christmas time, it was like the most crowded. It was so chaotic. I just felt very overwhelmed and stressed on that trip. So it was definitely humbling in a way, like, wow, if we're moving here, I really need to deepen my relationship with God, because it's only the Holy Spirit that's going to get me through and like give me peace in such a chaotic place. We get back to Maui from that trip. A couple weeks go by. He did a few interviews and it seemed like things were moving forward. We've started telling friends and family that we're moving. We've started selling things that we own and making a list of everything we need to do to like prepare for this cross-country move. And then a couple weeks after, we get a phone call and we are informed that the job is changing from a full-time to a part-time job. Now, New York City is the most expensive city in the United States to live. It's honestly, the rent is like double what we pay here, which I was shocked by. I thought it would be semi-comparable, but we just could not afford to move there if it was only a part-time job, and it probably just wouldn't be a wise decision to move if it's a part-time job. But the reasoning why I got turned from full-time to part-time is because the pastor that he would be working under was going to be traveling or on sabbatical for 7 months over the next 2 years. So they're basically saying like, we can't really see this being a full-time position for a couple of years. So we were shocked. We were like, whoa, we really thought God was opening this door for us. We thought this is where we were being called to, even though it felt very uncomfortable, we still felt peace about it. We started getting vision for it and started hearing from the Holy Spirit while we were there. And so we kind of put out feelers to see like, okay, could we still make this work somehow? Are we supposed to try to persevere, even, you know, because we believe that this is where we're being called? Or is this just a closed door? So we were very confused. We took a few days to process it and then decided to put out a few options, and then just like leave it at that. And then we waited a few weeks and hadn't heard anything back. And so I think as those weeks went by, we got more excited to just stay in Maui, and that excitement and vision and heart to move to this big city kind of started slowly fading. And then we started dreaming up about like, well, if we're gonna move, like, should we still move like to the mainland? Should we move somewhere else on island? Like, we had all this momentum and we were so ready to make a change, to then it just be like, nothing, you're staying here, you're staying in your job, you're staying in your house, like everything's staying the same. It felt like really polarizing. And so I feel like the door closing kind of helped us just think of other lifestyle changes we wanted to make, in case we weren't going. But anyways, a few weeks later, we just really felt like, okay, I think we're supposed to stay at least for this year, so let's commit 2025 to Maui and then see what happens after that. And so, yeah, everybody ended up being aligned on that. So this could still be a potential move, maybe in a year, maybe in 2 years, or maybe never. It was very interesting to process. Like, I think some of the thoughts that were popping in my head were like, did we hear from God wrong? A few people gave us words about like Abraham and Isaac, and sometimes it feels like God's calling us to lay something down or sacrifice something just to like get our hearts in the right posture, but then it like doesn't actually come through. So anyways, we're still honestly processing like why exactly he allowed us to feel so much towards this opportunity to then it not work out. But then also, like, I don't know, I feel like that'll all play out over the next couple years. Like, I think it'll become more clear, but it was very confusing at first, and I feel like the enemy could have really used the situation to plant a lot of seeds of doubt. So I'm very thankful that I have surrendered it and released it, and that I have new excitement to stay in Maui. But like I said, we started dreaming and thinking about what do we want our life to look like here, and we decided that it would be best to still move, and there's a few reasons for that. The first reason is we are currently upcountry Maui, up on the mountain, which is about a 30-minute drive from town, which is where we would do all of our grocery shopping. It's about 15 minutes to the nearest coffee shop, and it's about 50 minutes to the nice beaches that we like to go to that are like warmer, and about 30 minutes from some of the other beaches we like to go to. Like the closest beach is 30 minutes. Anyways, so with a young child, I have just been driving every day because I love to get out of the house with him. We love to go to the beach, and I love to hang out with my friends. All of my friends are at least 30 minutes away as well. And so we both have been driving like 1 to 3 hours every day with Legend, and yeah, it's just becoming a bit exhausting. So that was like a huge reason why we're like, okay. I think also like when you're about to be stripped of all your community and like have to say goodbye to them, you then have a bigger heart for like, wow, we need to be spending, like soaking up our community even more. So yeah, one of the reasons is to not have to drive as much. The second reason is to be closer to our community. And the third reason is to be closer to a beach and yeah, really just soak in living on an island and just like being at the beach. Legend loves the beach. He loves the water. He loves playing at the beach, and it would be really nice to only be 5 to 15 minutes away from it instead of like 30 minutes to an hour away. And then the fourth reason is that we want to save money. And honestly, with the rental market here, like prices are at an all-time high, so it really would have been a miracle to find something that like would have saved us money. But we did. Like, it's really crazy. I feel like God really just like set everything up for us to like find a place that was way less than everything else on the market, but was still like really nice. So originally we were planning to move into a 1-bedroom to save money, but we actually found a really small 2-bedroom. It's technically not a 2-bedroom because 1 bedroom has no windows, so they can't classify it as a 2-bedroom, but it has 2 separate rooms. So anyways, with all this momentum, we started looking for places. We thought we weren't going to move for a couple months, but this place was open and it was at such a great price that we like, I don't know, we just felt like it would be stupid not to take this place. It's attached to our friend's house, like that they live on. So a lot of places here have a main house and then they have an ohana, which is just like a smaller, usually rental unit or a guest house. And so the place we got is the ohana to our friend's main house. So we'll all be living in a shared property, in like a shared fenced in yard, like sharing a yard. So it really couldn't have worked out any more perfectly, because now we're literally next door to our friends. We are very central to all the places we would want to go and central to more community. And we're also going to be able to save $600 a month on rent, which is honestly a miracle on Maui to like have found a place that is that cheap compared to where we're living now. Like, such a miracle. I'm so grateful for. So definitely in this season we want to focus on downsizing and like saving money, stewarding our money better. Yeah, and I've been doing this whole decluttering series on my short form content of just like trying to live a more intentional life that's, you know, has less clutter, less consumerism, and just like living a more simple life. So I'm very excited for this new season. I will share more about the house. Probably in the next video will be a moving vlog, because we're literally moving this Friday, the 21st. I don't know when you're seeing this, but it's probably already happened already. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and answer some of your guys' questions. So the questions, like some people don't know that we're staying in Maui yet, so I feel like some of the questions are gonna be a mixed bag. Somebody asked, will you do a whole series on how you'll make new friends? And like, it's so funny because I had so much content planned out around this move of like what I wanted to create during the move, and like, yeah, everything with like moving from a small, slow living island to like the busiest hustle bustle city. It would have been a really cool journey to take you guys on, and one day we might, but yeah, for now we are not going to be doing any kind of series like that. Somebody asked, how are you feeling about leaving Hawaii? So obviously we're not anymore, but we were definitely feeling, I don't know, I would just go through waves of like feeling really sad about leaving. And I think the thought of leaving has helped me appreciate being here so much, especially as a mom. Like the fact that I can just be outside with Legend every day and he can like really like be free to like roam and walk around. Like that is something we would not have had really in New York City unless we were like at a park. But like here, there's just so many places that he can be free and run and walk, and like I don't have to worry about him. And so yeah, I think that's probably what I would have missed the most, is like just how accepting and like loving people are towards children here, and just how free they can be. So anyways, now I'm like way more appreciative, and that's why I'm like, let's get closer to the beach so we can like soak that in even more in case we do end up moving in the future. Somebody asked, do we plan on buying a property in Hawaii? Honestly, this is like so far from our reality. We have not been like stewarding our finances the best, especially with like my income fluctuates so much and I'm really not making a ton of money compared to like what I used to be able to make on YouTube. And so it's really Kyle's income that is like paying our bills, and mine is just like the extra. But honestly, like Kyle is not making that much money, so I feel like maybe there's like a false reality of people being on YouTube, and I know a lot of people on YouTube are very successful and like have the finances to buy a house, but we do not. Like the past few months, it's definitely more like living paycheck to paycheck. But we really want to break out of that and break out of using credit cards. So that is like a huge reason to why we are downsizing, to start saving money. So by a miracle, maybe one day we would be able to buy property here, but I could see us instead buying something on the mainland and like renovating it and then renting that out as like a rental income first, because I just think it would be really hard to buy here on our income right now unless that goes up. Somebody asked what was Kyle's job. I don't honestly know if I can really give many specifics, but he was going to be working underneath a pastor as like basically an assistant, but I can't really give more details than that. Just, I don't know if I have permission, so I'm just not going to say anything else, but it was working under a pastor to assist him and like travel with him as well. Did you ever see yourself / family living in this place before the job opportunity? Absolutely not. I feel like when I was young and single, I would have like probably like maybe fantasized about living in New York City, but I like this would have literally probably been one of the last places I would ever have thought to move if it wasn't for this job and like this unction of the Holy Spirit to like consider it. So how do you know when the Lord is moving you to a different place? Well, do I even know? Because none of this worked out the way I thought it would. You just feel a supernatural peace about this idea to go somewhere, and I think that is why we truly believe we were moving to New York, because we both felt this supernatural peace. When I started thinking about it too much and got into my flesh, I was like, no, please, no, I don't want to go. But the overarching, like when I was out of my flesh and just in trust and in surrender, like that is when I felt like that's when I know when we're being called to somewhere else. And then even in this little move, you know, we're moving about 40 minutes away from where we live now, but like having so many open doors, I feel like is another way that we feel like God is like confirming for us to go somewhere, is like when things just start working out and there's like just a lot of progress. Yes, but I feel like every circumstance is different, but those are like the two main things. It's like a heart posture, a trust, a peace, a surrender that's like supernatural, and then open doors. This is such a good question. Now that the plans have changed, but you've already gotten rid of a lot of things, are you going to rebuy to replace? No. I think the only thing we would rebuy is we sold our surfboards, and if you saw my hobby video, I want to try to surf again this year and like properly learn, so we would probably buy surfboards again. But other than that, I feel like the first round of things that we got rid of were just like necessary to go. We didn't start getting rid of like our bed and our mattress and like things that are necessary for living here. So we're actually going to keep selling things, because our next place, this place I think is like 900 square foot plus the whole like a 300 square foot lanai, and then the place we're moving is 500 square feet, so it's about half the size of this place. So we're definitely gonna have to get rid of even more stuff. So I'm glad that I started getting rid of stuff, because we are downsizing so much. We're gonna be losing like 3 closets and yeah, we're losing the whole living room. We don't have one at the next place, so it'll be interesting. to see. I feel like I've tried to get rid of as much as I can, but once we get there, I feel like I'm gonna have to get rid of even more. But the goal is to not rebuy like anything. And then, okay, the last question I'm gonna answer is from Jenny, and she asked, what makes you think moving wasn't God's plan for this season in your life? Yeah, I feel like that's such a hard question to answer because it's so hard sometimes to discern like why things happen the way they did. But I think once we found out, obviously the job offer was changing. That was a huge thing. Like financially, we just couldn't afford to move there. So like that would have been impossible. But two, I mean, not impossible. God could have provided other ways, but probably wouldn't have been responsible unless we really felt that trust to do it. But it just seemed like the opportunity was just fading away and just not for this year or this timing. So yeah, I feel like that really helped us to kind of let go of this idea of moving there. And then I think also him just giving us like fresh vision for where we are, and then all of these open doors leading to us finding a new place that saves us money, is right next to friends, is in like our ideal location, is beautiful. Like just having all these open doors happen at the same time, I felt like really confirmed, like, okay, this is where we're supposed to be for this year. It also makes sense with Kyle's job here because our church is going through a big transition, and it would have been more stressful if Kyle was leaving during this huge transition in our church on Maui. So yeah, I just feel like it all makes more sense now that some time has passed. But yeah, that is the whole explanation of this moving journey. But I'm very excited to downsize, declutter more, and take you guys into our new home that will be smaller and simpler, and honestly I think will bring me more joy being in a smaller place and with less to take care of, with less stuff. I think it's going to be a really exciting new chapter, and I'm excited to take you guys along. So thank you so much for following along. Sorry for confusing you all. I love you guys, and remember, Jesus lives more. Bye.